Welcome, 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 everybody. I am so excited to have you. And I wasn't kidding. We really, if you want to do this every Wednesday, once a week, we could just gather here in this little Zoom room and I would love it. It would be super, super fun. A great way to end the day before I begin my evening responsibilities as a parent Uber driver. That's my newest responsibilities is what I've learned. For those of you who I don't know very well, I am a mom to a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, or no, 11 and 9. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot how old my kids were. 11 and 9, 11-year-old middle schooler and a 9-year-old fourth grader, and they just keep me moving around. So I think that I'm their Uber driver, and they like to get snacks. Hey, do you have any food? That's the first question I get every time I get in the car. Do you have any snacks? No. But they are true leader shapers. They like the snacks. So it is great to be together, and it is so wonderful. Thank you all for joining to hear a little bit about what's been happening at LeaderShape. While you continue to introduce yourselves in the chat, I just wanted to really thank you all for being here. And really the goal of our time together over the next hour is to just give you an update on what's been happening at LeaderShape, share some of our reflections that we've had for over the last year, and let you know about what's happening moving forward. A lot of this community update and the reason behind it really came out of some of my own reflections on the amount of communication I had with this community during the pandemic. I feel like, when we were facing really difficult times, my value of transparency rose to the top, and I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of what was going on at LeaderShape because you care about LeaderShape and you care about the people who are connected to it. And I think as pandemic times changed to not pandemic times, those communications became less frequent because we just got busy, right? We got busy with life and doing the work of LeaderShape. But it has always stuck with me that I loved those times together to include this community in what is happening at LeaderShape. And so that's what this is. There's no emergency. There's no red flags. There's actually a lot of really good stuff going on. And so I don't want it to be a thing of we only get together to talk about stuff when it's bad. Like, let's talk about stuff when it's good too, and in between, right? So that is what this is about. And so thank you for being a part of that. When I think about our time and really LeaderShape in general, the other piece is that the staff and I've really been thinking a lot about how LeaderShape as an organization, we just celebrated our 38th anniversary this past July, 38 years, which is so wonderful. The LeaderShape has really been created, shaped, and made by people, by you all, and by the over 90,000 people that have participated in our programs over the last 38 years. It isn't the idea of one person or just one individual or a group of individuals guiding the organization. It's all of us. It's all of us here in the Zoom space, and it's all of the participants that you interact with when you're facilitating or on your campus if you're a program coordinator. And I think that's pretty unique for an organization to be really crafted and created in that way. And we're grateful for that. And I hope that you see that in not only in this update, but in all that we do, that you see where you give your contribution, whether it be of your time or your talents, that you can see that. And I just continue to be grateful. And so I thank you. I can't thank you as a community enough for all that you've done for LeaderShape, and all that I know that you'll continue to do because you love it, because you love this organization and you care about it. While I'm expressing my gratitude, I really have to give a really special thanks to this group of people right here. Look at this adorable picture. This adorable staff. This is the LeaderShape staff minus Pam. Pam wasn't with us on our recent retreat in Chicago, so we don't have a picture with Pam in it, but this is us, and I just have to thank these folks. And Juan is growing out his hair. Do you see that? It looks really good. I would thank them if they were in the room with us or not, but they have just done amazing things to bring LeaderShape's mission and vision to life in the everyday, from the ways they show up in our staff meetings and as an organization to the ways they interact with each of you and other members of our community. LeaderShape is grateful for them, and we are better because of it. So thank you for that. Thank you for this lovely, lovely group that I get so fortunate to work with every single day. So when we're doing our work every day, this is what guides us. And this is familiar to all of you, I would assume, right? This is the vision and mission of LeaderShape. Our vision, a just, caring, thriving world where all lead with integrity and a healthy disregard for the impossible. Our mission to transform the world by increasing the number of people who lead with integrity and a healthy disregard for the impossible. And I share this because it's not just words on the screen to us. It's not just printed in the manuals or on our website. We really do take these words to heart when we are thinking about what's next for LeaderShape, when we're training you all as facilitators, when we're working with you as program coordinators, when we're thinking about the participants. Like, this is never far from our minds. And I wanted to share that as we got started because it grounds us. It grounds me every day as I'm leading LeaderShape to remember what our focus is and why are we here. And I think sometimes when there's a noise, right, all of the things happening in the world around us, all of the questions about the value of leadership development, all of the concerns on college campuses, it can be easy to get lost along the way. And so this has continued to be and will continue to be what guides us in our mission and our vision. And when we do that, when we live our mission and vision, one of the things that we talked about during our retreat was this moment right now is what the LeaderShape staff fought for during the pandemic. I've wondered oftentimes when we will stop talking about the pandemic, and I personally think I will stop talking about the pandemic until I stop learning from the time that we experienced then. And I haven't stopped learning. LeaderShape hasn't stopped learning about what it means to be an organization that adjusts and adapts. And the pandemic gave us the space for that lesson. Whether we wanted it or not, it came to us. And so how did we make the most of it? And when we gathered last week, it was Tanya that mentioned this. She said, this is it. This is what we fought for. Programs to happen on college campuses, the opportunity for LeaderShape to continue to provide transformative leadership development opportunities. That's what we fought for. The mailboxes, the visions, all of that. But we didn't fight for a specific program. We fought for LeaderShape, right? We fought for its mission, for it to continue. And I keep reminding myself of that because I often get asked, like, how are you doing? Is LeaderShape back to the way it used to be, back to normal? Well, there is no normal. We are creating that normal. We're not getting back to it. We are focused on exactly what we fought for to keep LeaderShape moving and functioning. And I want to share for you a really, I think, helpful graphic that puts it into perspective of what LeaderShape as an organization was like in 2019 versus a little bit about what we're like now. So here is a graphic that I'd like to share with you. On the left, or in the 2019 spot, you see a graphic of the programs that we offered in 2019 and the number of participants we reached. So we had 3 programs: the LeaderShape Institute, which we did in campus-based sessions, and 4 national sessions, which is all the blue that you see here. Catalyst, of the one-day program about being a catalyst for change, and then resilience. And you can see through that, we reached about a little over 4,000 participants. But we were an organization that offered 3 programs. That was how you were able to engage with us. That's how we moved forward in our mission and help people really realize their leadership potential. Now in 2024, look at the graph on the pie chart on the right. We offer 6 programs. 5 of those programs are fee-based programs, and 1 is completely free. The virtual conversations that we offer are opportunities for community members to gather and talk about issues that are facing leadership development currently, and that is a free opportunity for anyone to join. But we still have campus-based sessions of the LeaderShape Institute. You see that here still in blue, and 2 sessions of the national sessions. Orange, Catalyst, a little bit of resilience, Courageous Dialogue, which is a downloadable program that people can deliver on their campus or in their organizations. Living in Possibility, our newest program, which is a 1.5 day program, and then the virtual programs. So a lot has changed in the course of time, and I really do think that it was a gift of the pandemic that LeaderShape could evolve and grow. Because if you had told me in 2019 that I want you to go at LeaderShape to go for 1 year and not do any sessions of the LeaderShape Institute, I would have laughed hysterically and told you that's not possible. And it actually wouldn't have been possible. Financially, organizationally, we couldn't have made it happen. And so by the pandemic eliminating our opportunity to really get in, to be in person and to do the Institute, it allowed LeaderShape to, I believe, live into what is next for the organization, and continue to reach people where they're at and help them to develop their leadership capacity and potential, and not be beholden to one way of doing that or one specific program. Now, I love all of our programs. I will tell you all of them are my favorite, when we're talking about them, and they all are, because they all do great things. And but I am so grateful for the opportunity that we had over the last couple of years to really explore and live into this potential. So I want to tell you a little bit more about how we did that here this year. And while I do that, you all know, please put questions in the chat if you have questions. I will try my best to answer those, and I'll pause here in a little bit to see what questions you have as well. But if you're thinking of something you want to need me to answer a question for you, please put that in there and I'll watch it. So 2023, 2024, the academic year that we just wrapped up. What did we do? It was a great chance when we got together in Chicago last week to pause and reflect on what we had done. Because like many of you in your own daily work, we move so quickly from one thing to the next that we don't always take a time to stop and pause and say, gosh, this is what we did, and here are the good things, and here are maybe the not good things that we worked on and ways we want to improve. So our work is guided by our strategic plan. If you are newer to LeaderShape, the strategic plan may be a new concept to you and how we utilize it. But we created the strategic plan 3 years ago to really help give us structure to a time of such great uncertainty. 3 years ago, we didn't know what we were doing, how we were going to offer programming. We had in-person programming, we had virtual programming. We were thinking that one is going to win out in the end, what's going to be the most relatable and relevant. But it was a time of a lot of uncertainty. And so the staff and I, along with the board, put a strategic plan together that focused on the sustainability of LeaderShape. How do we grow back? There's no doubt that the pandemic and the impact of that could have been catastrophic for us in terms of our loss of programming financially as an organization, but also then meeting our mission and vision. And so we really wanted to make sure that we could be sustainable moving forward, that we wanted to grow. We recognized that the pandemic was going to definitely decrease the amount of programs that we were offering. So we wanted to put a focus on growth, and then we wanted to put a focus on impact, and really making sure that everything that we offered programmatically was of high quality, and that it had the opportunity to be impactful. And so those were the 3 areas that we've been focusing on over the last 3 years. And here's a little bit about how that showed up for us this year as we think about sustainability and growth. I'll take you back to this pie chart of our sessions. And this really does show you how we've grown. And I think one of the really unique things to draw your attention to is that in 2024, again, in the 2023-2024 academic year, once again, for now 3 years in a row, people who experience LeaderShape, most of them experience LeaderShape through Catalyst. And so Catalyst continues to be, now post-pandemic, a really great entry point for people who are looking to bring a LeaderShape program to their campus, and also a really great way for students to take the time to engage. Right? Still, some of our programming, you wonder about, is it too long? Is 4 days too long? Is a day and a half too long? And Catalyst really gets that spot of being able to capture people's attention and take the time that they have available to engage in what is meaningful curriculum. And so with that, with this grouping of programs that are offered, we've impacted at least 3,720 individuals. I say at least because we've entered into this new phase with LeaderShape that we don't actually know the exact count of how many people participate in our programs, thanks to Courageous Dialogue. Courageous Dialogue is now a curriculum that professionals can purchase and then facilitate to as many students or people in their organization as they want. And so I can tell you that we've sold that program 16 times, but I don't know the impact or reach of that. It is for us a way in which we are growing and expanding to say, we want that reach to be as far and wide as it can possibly be. And we know that that one person is really a catapult for how far and wide that will be as they do their work in the spaces that they are part of, whether that be within schools or in organizations. And so we are getting good feedback about how it's being used as campuses especially are taking advantage of that. But it is really neat to think that our impact is now larger and our reach is larger than something that we might ever know. And so that I think is a really cool piece of LeaderShape and definitely is our mission and vision coming to life. When we do get feedback, here are a couple things people are saying about our program. So this is from a participant in Living in Possibility. They said that it felt so good to really talk to my peers and know that we all have something that we're going through, right? That feeling of community, that we're all in this together. And you forget that, right? As you're moving through your day-to-day, that, yeah, everybody's going through something. And then this is a quote from a participant at a Catalyst session. I learned the importance of being genuine to others because these connections can take us far in life. There are many different qualities of being a leader, and leaning on one of those, on the ones you're good at, is important. Right. So also seeing that self-reflection, that their own leadership identity development and their capacity to lead, being able to see that through the Catalyst program has been really important. And then here is a piece of feedback from an Institute participant. They felt an aha moment whenever they saw people go outside of their comfort zone and be more confident with their thoughts and ideas. It's really cool to see the development of the people around you. I really appreciated this aha moment because it really shows us that we're learning from others around us, right? And how do we celebrate that, the growth that we see in the community? What I see most when I hear these quotes or read these quotes as we go through the thousands of evaluations that come in is that no matter what the program was that someone participated in, is that we provided a space within each of those programs for the participant to be met where they are in their own leadership development journey, to take what they need to then go further. Right. And to not just leave it there in that room with that community, but there's also that mindset, that tool that they needed to keep going and to pursue their own leadership development. And that's what we're about, right? When we think about that mission vision work that I talked about earlier, that's what we want. That's what we want to see. And it's really great that we're seeing that within the programs. I love and appreciate reading all of the evaluations because of this, to see this. And you all get to see this when you're facilitating or as our program coordinators when it happens in real time, which is always really awesome. One thing that I'll mention here as I think about programmatic impact, if you're sitting here and you're like, hey, Kristen just mentioned a program that I'm actually not familiar with and I didn't know anything about. I put this here. You can go ahead and scan this QR code and you can learn a little bit about these programs. Because one of the things, and Juan actually just mentioned this when we were meeting with our new co-lead facilitators, is that, through your connection to LeaderShape and through your community involvement with us, is that you represent what we do and who we are. And so I want to make sure that you have that. It is the catalog that we share with folks as they are interested in purchasing our program. So know that it has that lens to it, but hopefully it tells you a little bit more about each program and how they're all connected to the mission and vision of the organization. The other thing, as we think about the work that we've done this year, is the other part of that strategic plan is the impact. How are we making sure that we are really checking on the quality of our programs. And I really, as we worked on this objective specifically, I really want to give a special shout out to members of our board, Kathy Guthrie, Melissa Rocco, and Bianca Williams, are members of our board who worked alongside of me in a research committee, and really began to take ownership of LeaderShape's research. And I think really just as much ownership of our research as we do of our curriculum for our programs. Previously, it's been something that we have either partnered with other people on, which have been great projects, but we've not really driven our own assessment and research agenda. And so with Kathy's guidance, all four of us came together and really began to think about and put into place, what is LeaderShape's really research philosophy and what's our focus? And so we came up with these two areas as we think about LeaderShape's research for all of our programs moving forward, is that we're really thinking about the development and implementation of leadership learning and development opportunities, thinking about the design, the pedagogy, the assessment of our learning strategies, thinking about all the things that make our programs, what makes them work, how do they work together, and why is that important? Because when we think about how all of those pieces fit together, they go into our kind of learner development, and really thinking about how are we helping people in their leadership identity, capacity, and efficacy. And those are really concepts that when we think about that collectively just describes somebody's ability to lead, right? And how do they understand themselves as a leader? And so we have now begun focusing on research and assessment with this kind of framework in all of our programs. And this will be a first for us. Previously, we were only researching the LeaderShape Institute. Now, moving forward, we will be researching and assessing all of our programs to really look at the collective impact that LeaderShape as an organization is having on individuals and on the field of leadership education, which really, really excites me, because I think it's something that many of us in the LeaderShape community maybe have known for a while, like, yeah, this is impactful. We walk away, right, as facilitators or as past participants, you're like, yeah, this is really impactful. And what I really appreciate about this is it's giving voice to what is that impact in a much greater scale, and putting some research behind it. So I'm excited about what will come of that. The first step in that is something that Juan just shared actually last week with our program coordinators. Our first program assessment summary is from the LeaderShape Institute. So again, if we were in person, I'd give you a handout, but here's a QR code so you can have your own handout. If you want to read the first of what will be many program assessments, but this is a program assessment of the LeaderShape Institute that we just did a really a first attempt. I was telling Bianca and Melissa and Kathy as we put it together, it felt really great to be able to write this on behalf of LeaderShape, but a little uncertain because we've never written a piece like this about ourselves before. So it's one of those moments where you're like, brag on yourself and tell about all the good things that you do. And we tell that to students all the time, or you tell it to your colleagues, but then as an organization, we're like, how do we do that? So I think it will over time get more and more refined, and LeaderShape will find its voice, but our hope is that campuses and you all find it helpful. So that is in a 22-minute nutshell what we've done in the past year, just the highlights. We've done many, many more things as well, but I'm going to pause there. Any questions before I talk to you a little bit about what is next for LeaderShape? Okay. Thank you for letting me take a drink of water. Um, so, so looking ahead for us, one of the things that I shared with the staff, and I'll share with you all too. So as I think about this upcoming year and where we are organizationally, this is the first time in almost 5 years that LeaderShape is not in crisis mode, where we're having to be reactionary to the changes of the world around us. And that's not something I take very lightly. I think we've done a really good job adapting and pivoting during the pandemic and the challenging times that came. But to be at a spot where we don't have to be reactionary is really where we want to be. We want to be in the spot where we can think big for leadership, where we can really put the concepts that we teach into practice in our everyday work and in the way that we interact with you all as a community and in the way we deliver our programs. And it is a little bit exciting. It's a lot exciting, actually. It's a lot exciting to be in that space. It's a little bit scary. And I think if you've ever, we think about coming out of a crisis of any time, you're like, is it going to happen again? Are you sure we're okay? Are we really okay? We have a little bit of that going on as well. But overall, a lot of excitement because what we like to do most is to put LeaderShape's concepts that we teach into practice. And we're finally at a space organizationally where we could do that. The organization is stable. The organization is growing. We are meeting the needs of students. And so we're just excited about what is next. And so what is next? Where do you even start was this question that I started to think about probably about 3 or 4 months ago. And I started to look at our tagline, to lead, live. And I see it a lot. I work from home, right? So it's in my home office. It's also on a magnet in my garage refrigerator. I have this LeaderShape logo on a magnet. Why it's on my garage refrigerator, I don't know, but I see it every time I go to get a beverage out of the garage refrigerator or every time I pull my car in. And it's in other random spots around my house because I have LeaderShape magnets and stickers and those things. And so I see it a lot on the daily. And I began to really think about what that would mean for us this year because it means something different, I think, for everyone at different times in their lives and in different areas, right? To lead, live. And I want us to be an organization that practices those concepts and that these taglines and slogans aren't just nice things that we write on a piece of paper or put on a magnet. And so what I came to and what the staff and I talked about and what we all collectively came to is that for this upcoming year, what to lead live means to us is that we will be leading with impact and living with intention. And when we're doing that, what that means to us, leading with impact, means that we're thinking about the quality of our experiences. We're thinking about the impact that they have on the people that we are with, whether that's in the Zoom room at a community update or at a one-on-one meeting as you're planning a session of the Institute, or is it in your training as facilitators for Catalyst or Living in Possibility, that we're thinking about the people who are going to be in those spaces and what's the impact that we want our time to have on them, whether that be in curriculum or just in our regular conversations. And then when we're doing that, when we're leading in that way, when we're thinking about that as our focus, we're living with intention. We're really thinking about then the quality of those experiences and people's ability, ours as well, to put the things that we talk about into practice, right? And to really have the intention to do just that. It's one thing to have great conversations and to think, gosh, we're going to make these changes, whether it's in the curriculum or in our training. But if we don't ever put that into practice, then what good is that, right? And so we really want to make sure that we are living with intention, that we are saying the things that we will do, and then we're doing them, right? Always and all the time. And if we're not doing them, we're telling you why we're not doing them, right? So that we're being intentional in our interactions. And so that'll be our focus as a staff going through this year. That will kind of guide our time and our interactions. And one of the ways it is guiding us is looking at our mission statement. So I know I just shared our mission statement with you a couple of minutes ago, transforming the world by increasing the number of people who lead with integrity and a healthy disregard for the impossible. One of the things that mission statement, the top mission statement, has led us to do over the last probably 8 or 9 years at LeaderShape is led us to focus on the words increasing the number of people. And it has led us to looking about how do we do more and that has served LeaderShape well for a very long time, right? There was a time in probably 2015 when we were at the height of our outreach. We were doing 97 sessions of the LeaderShape Institute, and we were doing 55 sessions of Catalyst, and numbers correlated with great quality and great impact. And I think as the staff and I reflected on that, as time went on, and maybe those numbers, we didn't meet those numbers, our focus became this mission. The focus part of the mission became on increasing the number. And we got stuck there to thinking that we were working towards a number instead of working towards the impact of the people and the skills that we would be teaching within all of the programs, and the qualities we wanted them to have as a leader. And so I think as all not-for-profits think about, mission statements serve us probably for a period of time, and LeaderShape as an organization has changed over the last 5 years. And so the question came to be for us, what does the mission of LeaderShape need to be now to meet the needs of the people that we partner with now? And I think where we are settling, and what I want to get your response and kind of a little bit of reaction to is this updated mission statement at the bottom, that our mission as an organization is to transform the world by equipping people to lead with integrity and practice a healthy disregard for the impossible. So this mission statement, what the staff and I believe, really changes our focus to the outcomes, and again centers the people in this experience, thinking about what are they gaining from being a part of the LeaderShape community in the programs that we offer to them. And so thoughts, ideas, questions as you just look at that mission statement for the very first time. Would love to get your, in the chat, kind of gut reactions to that. Don't mind the clinging of my dog. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for those in Chelsea and HP. Thank you. We appreciate that. We appreciate that feedback. And I'll invite you, if as you think about this, as you look at this, going back to what I said earlier, LeaderShape is an organization that has been created by people who care about it, by members of our communities who want to contribute. And so as you're looking at this, if you're like, hey, I have a thought about LeaderShape's mission statement, have you thought of this? Have you thought of those things? Let me know. We are just now in the process of updating that. I shared it with the staff. We've shared it with our program coordinators. We're sharing it with you all, our community here, and we'll share it with our board community next month before it becomes hopefully finalized as a change, and kind of the signifying of what is next for us as an organization. What do we have looking forward to as we move forward into 2024, 25, and beyond. So with that, thank you. Thank you. All this comments are really helpful. The other piece that, I think, can you still see my screen? Okay, I clicked on something and it went away for me, but I'm glad you all could see it. That's great. So the other piece that you'll see more of in the upcoming year are the conversations about LeaderShape's values. So about 2 years ago, when the staff got together, we put together a list of LeaderShape's values: hope, courage, equity, community, and lifelong learning. We've used these values internally over the last couple of years. We've shared them with our co-lead community at trainings and at retreats. But one of the things that we realized when we were together is that we have not shared them as much publicly as we need to and would like to. And so you'll start to see things from us in the public spaces, in social media, in our curriculum, in the pieces that we put out together that tie the LeaderShape programs to our values. And so that we are really clear about the values alignment that we have as an organization to what we teach and the way that we interact with people. And because that way, and we want people to know that. We want people to know we teach about values alignment, right? If you look at the Institute curriculum or even look at the Catalyst curriculum, we talk all the time about values alignment, and we want to be able to talk about that from an organization and then show that to people. And we also recognize that we won't always work in alignment with our values. I'd like to think that we're going to work in alignment with our values more than we will not, but we also want to put our values out there so that if we are working out of alignment with those, that our community holds us accountable to that, because that's also important. And I think very often organizations could keep their values kind of hidden so that if you are out of alignment, nobody knows. But that's not us. That's not the transparent organization that we want to be. That's not what we teach in terms of how we want leaders to interact. And so that's not how we want to interact. And so you'll start to see that. You'll see us doing some mapping work of how our programs align to these values, and also how our trainings align to these values. And then the piece that's really important and we'll continue to talk about over the upcoming year is how do we connect with your values as part of this community, as facilitators, as program coordinators, as members of the board, as people who are past participants. How do your values align with LeaderShapes, and how are you contributing in a way that's meaningful to that values alignment? Because we're not simply a vendor, right? We're not just someone who wants to come to a campus and do a program and collect a check. Like, we're looking to make meaningful and impactful change in the communities that we're a part of. We're also not just an organization that we want facilitators to come, go do a program, collect a little bit of a check and go about their way. We also want a meaningful connection with our facilitators, right? That whole circle of being in relationship with people, everyone being a teacher, everyone being a learner, is about how we want our values to connect and to work together. Because, and I was reminded of a slide from the Catalyst curriculum, one of the things that we know to be true is that great things happen in community. Right? We've seen it. LeaderShape is an example of that. This organization is an example of that. And there's lots of other examples, but we know that to be true. And so we want you to see that. And so we'll be asking questions in the trainings that you're a part of. If you are a facilitator, we'll be asking about how are your values aligning with what we're teaching? If there's a misalignment, what does that mean? And how do we help work through that and how do our values maybe shift over time? All the values conversations that we love to have with participants, we'll be having with internally as well. All of this work that we do together in the mission and the vision and the values, all of that helps us to cultivate a world where all live with integrity and practice a healthy disregard for the impossible. That's what we're working to do. That vision is there. Because when we do that work, we know that the world is more just, caring, and thriving, right? That vision that we are working towards, that one day I hope LeaderShape doesn't have to exist because I want to live in this world. And I know we're living in it a little bit more every day, but how do we get to do that? And so you might be thinking, yeah, okay, this is great. This is exactly what I was hoping Kristen would say. This is the LeaderShape I know. This is good. How can I help? Like, what do we need to do moving forward? And so here I have a list of ways you can support LeaderShape, because it wouldn't be a community event if we didn't think of how can we use your help? Because the fact still remains, that picture of those 5 people, 6 of us with Pam, we're a small staff. We can't do all of this. We have big dreams and big hopes, and we want to make a big impact. And we've always needed our community to support us in that. And so I'm going to talk through briefly what are 5 possible ways that you may be able to help us in the year ahead. And I'll ask you to just look at these with an open mind and think about how can you contribute this year. Maybe there's a way that I've listed that we haven't even thought of yet, and we're absolutely open to that as well. I think the first one is stay involved, right? We can't do this work alone. When we gather, when our LeaderShape staff gathers every Wednesday morning, and we constantly talk about the people who are helping support us in this work, the program coordinators that are working tirelessly to recruit students, the co-leads who are meeting to build their curriculum and to get to know each other so they can deliver those curriculums. All of that, we continue to talk about the good work that you are doing. And so keep doing that. Please continue to keep those commitments that you have with us of serving in whatever capacity that you've said that you could serve that way. That is really important to us, and we rely on that. We couldn't do 28 sessions of the LeaderShape Institute and 60 sessions of Catalyst without that, without your help. And so thank you. That I can never, ever thank you enough. And for all of that work. The other thing, that other way you can stay connected to us is share your brilliance. From evaluations to Zoom calls, feedback is love. That is one you can never, and please hear me say this, and I'll say it over and over again. You could never ever give a piece of feedback to me or any other member of the LeaderShape staff, and we will be upset or hurt by that feedback. We know that you are giving us that feedback with great care and concern for the organization, for the curriculum in which you are giving that feedback. And so share that. Continue to share that, because it makes LeaderShape better. And we will grow from that. The other thing, as you think about sharing your brilliance and your knowledge and your experience, is when you're in the online world, feel free to share things about LeaderShape there as well. Like our post, comment on things on Instagram or on LinkedIn, wherever you are. Pass that along so that LeaderShape continues to be, or becomes a word that is in people's mouths, on their brains, as they're thinking about leadership development for their students and their organizations. Help us do just that. That is so important to us as we think about how do we grow and how do we continue to meet our mission and vision and continue to do that work. It is growing our network. And one of the things that we've known and we've experienced through the last couple of years is that with people leaving higher education, with less LeaderShape programs happening on campuses, we are having to reintroduce ourselves to campuses all the time. No one knows what LeaderShape was. There might be a binder somewhere on a file folder on a desk somewhere that they're like, yeah, I think we did LeaderShape. I think I've heard of it, but I don't really know. And even if they do know of LeaderShape, what we're finding is that they know about the Institute, but they don't know about all the other ways in which people can engage in our curriculums and engage in the meaningful connections that we have. And so another way that you can support LeaderShape is consider introducing us to 2 people and cultivate some connections and be an influencer. On your campus or in your daily, spheres of operation, whoever you are in contact with, if there are people who you think could provide a LeaderShape program experience on their campus or organization, make an introduction between us and them. Simply just email lead@leadershape.org with that introduction. If you don't want to introduce them specifically to me or to Vernon or Abby, introduce them just to LeaderShape, and we'll take it from there. But we really need your help in that because we are 5 people who only can talk to so many people and outreach to so many people. We all know this. When I have a friend who buys a product or uses a service and they like it, and they say, hey, Kristen, you should try this, I will do that. I absolutely will do that. I just did it the other day. That's how I have this sweatshirt on that I'm wearing today. Someone said, Kristen, I'm wearing this. You are going to like it. You love stripes and it's super cozy. You should buy it. And you know what? I did. I was influenced. I bought it. Here I am. I love it. I know Amazon, it is. But so I know that can happen for LeaderShape as well. And so if you can do that, if you can use your influence to help us, that would be phenomenal. And then the other way in that you can support us is supporting us financially. You can donate anytime at leadershape.org/donate. Any contribution is welcome. Any dollar amount, $5, $10, more than that, doesn't matter. We need your funds. We need everybody's funds of this community. And they are helpful to us. They help provide scholarships for people to attend national sessions. And they also provide financial support to create the programs that we are facilitating, right? So they go into our daily, those funds go into our daily operations as well. One of the new features of the donate page, if you haven't been to it in a while, is that you can set up recurring monthly donations. So it could automatically just come out of your checking account. on a monthly basis. And so that is kind of nice. If it's something, I sometimes I forget. I have the best of intentions. I'm like, yes, I'm going to donate to that organization. And then the month goes by and I forget. And I'm like, yes, I'm going to do that now. And so sometimes if you're like me, I just need that reminder. I just need it to happen automatically. You have the ability to do that on the site. And then the final piece of ways that you can contribute and support us is to cheer us on. So it does get lonely sometimes. We are a virtual staff that does not meet in person, but maybe once or twice a year. And so, an email of, hey, you're doing a great job, or hey, I just noticed this on social media and I'm thinking of you, a text message, like that encouragement that you get maybe when you're in your office with your office mates, or even on your own teams, goes a long way. We do that for each other. So don't hear, we're not like sad and lonely all the time, but we do that for each other. But sometimes it's just nice to know that somebody else sees us, because, in this little office and in my guest room turned office, there's only 6 steps that I walk between here and the kitchen, and I sometimes want a little bit of encouragement, as we all might, right? And I know other members of of the staff would appreciate that as well. And it goes a long, long way to know that we are cared about, that LeaderShape is cared about, and so that always can make a difference for us. So that, in a nutshell, again, very quickly, is one of the, some of the ways that you can contribute. And I just want to remind you that every contribution of your time, of your talent, of your treasures, they all matter. And I recognize that during different phases of our lives, we're able to contribute in different ways. And so what I hope you hear me saying is that, if you want to stay connected and you want to support LeaderShape, there's a way for you to do that. And we need you, because you make LeaderShape better, and you will be what helps us accomplish and meet that mission and vision as we go into this upcoming year. So with that, it's 3:50. Look at that. I have time I'm going to take this down, and would love to see if you all have any questions, things you'd like me to talk more about. Yeah, anything.
Kristen, I don't have any questions, but just thank you for the overview. It was really helpful to see like where leadership has come from, but where it's going now. It was encouraging to see.
Thank you. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say something. I just have to say that I think that it's wonderful that Kristen thanked us as a staff, but I just want to make sure that she knows that we are blessed to have her as our executive director. It is an honor and a privilege to be a part of a group of people that I just adore, except for Juan. And just kidding. Juan and I just spent a wonderful time together with program coordinator training. So we're buds. We've always been buds, but anyway. But I just want to make sure that Kristen takes it in and knows that you're the reason why we survived, and we thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it greatly. I appreciate it greatly. I am lucky to have LeaderShape. I really am. I'm lucky to be able to be here, and to be here in this moment for LeaderShape is important. So yes. Well, hopefully, this update, it seems like it was helpful to you all. Is it something you'd like us to do more frequently? Like maybe quarterly we could do some updates? Would you like to know more? I could always talk to you. I mean, I know every week it might have been a little much. I get it. You don't want to meet every week. Okay, but quarterly, maybe we gather and do some kind of update. Okay, awesome. I'm seeing people would love that. Would be good. Great. Okay, well, then you will start to see these happening quarterly. We'll do some updates, continue to think about if there are ways that you can support us. If any of those called to you that you're like, yes, I want to make some introductions. Yes, I want to, continue to add my feedback. You will start to see emails from us about ways you can do that as just some gentle reminders. And yeah, we are looking forward to the time ahead. Thank you all for being here this afternoon. And we got 7 minutes. I don't know, we could keep hanging out, or you can take that 7 minutes and go about the rest of your afternoon. The time is yours. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it.